Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my weekly show where I help you build a career you love. Today we got a great one. We're going to talk about what you've never been taught about career growth, and specifically 3 steps you're missing to achieve your career goals. I hope you guys are warm. It's minus 25 where I am right now, and so I hope everybody's warm. The entire Chicagoland area is shut down, but we do not shut down on your career. We never would I let that happen. So great to have everybody. We're live right now. If you're here with me on a Thursday, get in the chat, say hello, let me know where you're from, let me know what you need, put some question marks in front of your question, or if you're watching this on the recording, dive into the comments and let me know what you need. We're going to be talking about, well, we're going to be trying to address some issues if you're feeling stuck in your career, you're just not sure what to do, or maybe you like your role, but you're not climbing the corporate ladder fast enough. Or maybe you just want to make a change. Maybe you want to make a change and you're not sure how to do that. So if that's you, this show today's for you. We'll have a great Q&A at the end, but I want to welcome everybody back. I've been with my boot campers for the last couple of weeks, and it's nice to be back with my community. Now let's get right into one thing you've never been taught about growing your career. I'm not even going to keep you in suspense. The fact of the matter is, rarely will you ever have been taught about how to manage your career and how to grow it. Think about this. Many of you went to school, you learned a trade, and then you got a job, and then on the job, you learned on-the-job training that helped you get better at your trade. But how many of you have actually taken a class or a curriculum about how to grow your career? If you have, or not, yell at me in the chat there. Let me know, because think about that there's really not a lot of that out there. There really isn't. Now I have something for you that's going to be starting in a couple weeks. But all truth aside, most people have never taken any kinds of classes or been taught about how to manage their career. So today I'm actually going to give you some of my techniques and the principles that I've used and a little bit of the formula of how I've grown my career, and you can use the same techniques to amp up yours. So we got a lot of good stuff, and we're actually going to start with what the problems are, because you got 3 problems with growing your career. You need to be taught, you need to practice, and you need to create time in your schedule to be able to practice. And let's think about this. The first one, there's really not many, if any, opportunities out there. There just isn't a lot of stuff out there that teaches you systematically how to grow your career. And even if you knew that, most people wouldn't take the time to practice it. And don't even get me started about the third one with scheduling. I know everybody's busy. It's very difficult to create space in your schedule to practice this stuff and the things that you really need to do in order to grow your career. So think about that. If you agree with that, if you agree with especially the scheduling part, give me an amen in the chat. I know it's Thursday or maybe it's Tuesday when you're watching this, but let's get into this. Let's get into this a bit. So think about what you guys are probably going through. There's probably a lot of, well, I'm not sure what I want to do, or I've tried it and it didn't work. Or I'm not really learning anything at my organization, or maybe there's not really anywhere to go within my organization. And I know a lot of this happens to us. I know a lot of you that are going through a transitional period in your life or in your career are thinking these things. But the fact of the matter, everybody, it is your career. Think about your career. You can outsource a lot of things in your life, but the one thing that you cannot outsource is your career. You've got to own it. You really got to own it. You might get some help along the way, but you really need to be the architect of your career. So I'm going to get into the 3 steps that I want you to focus on. And I tried to break things down into 3s today. And we're going to zip through the first couple, and we're going to spend a little more time with the third. One thing, I want to take a sip of my coffee, and I want you guys to know, for those of you that follow me in my coffee mugs, I don't know if you can see this, but how awesome is that? Can I help you? There's me in my buffalo plaid shirt when I started off the coffee mug bonanza that I was doing, and there's me sitting in front of the monitor just waiting for you to ask me questions. All right, but let's talk about those 3 steps. So the first thing you got to do is you got to decide. You got to decide what you want to be, where you want to go, how you want to get there, all that good stuff. Now, on the deciding part, if you've been following me for the last few weeks or longer, we did a session and I rolled out a video a couple weeks back on how to choose the right job. So basically, how do I choose the right job for me? What's the process that I should go through? I threw in a wonderful tool in that video. That's the first place I would spend some time. And that link is in the description. That link is in the description, and I'll also put it in the, I don't know, in the card up here on the recording for those that are watching this at a later date. But the first thing is you got to decide, right? That's not such a wacky concept. It may seem common sense, but we all know common sense is not always common practice. And I know a lot of you, because I have this with my one-on-one coaching clients. We have people in my job search bootcamp who really struggle with what should I do to make myself happy and enjoy and serve the community or the world. And think about your vision is limited to what you've experienced or what you've researched. So there's loads of possibilities out there. And while I know that can be confusing, I need you to spend some time working it. And speaking of vision, the second thing that you got to do is you got to have some. You got to have some vision. Now, vision is super lofty. It's super, it's like a cloud of smoke for most people. It's just kind of all that malleable, and it doesn't really take a lot of shape and form. The reason most people screw up the vision part is because they're thinking too far out. They're thinking too far out. I don't want you to go thinking 5 years or 10 years. That's entirely too long for you to imagine what's going to happen in your life. If you narrow, I mean this in a good way, if you narrow your vision down to 1 year chunks, 3 year chunks, maybe just out a few years, and you focus on what's going to make me happy in the short and the midterm. And if you can get your mind wrapped around that level of visibility and that kind of vision, a lot of good things are going to happen. Number one, it's easier to see the shorter term. Number two, you'll be focused on things that are going to be making you happy and enjoy your career and your life at the moment. Those are front and center. You have more clarity on what those are. And if you focus on those and you're able to attain it, you're going to do better. And if you do better in the role, you're going to enjoy yourself more. Your attitude's going to be better. You're likely going to be much, much better at the job or the career or whatever it is that you're attempting. You're going to be happy. People are going to love being around you. Those opportunities are going to fall. So, I always talk about in 2003, when I was an information technology and management consultant, and I was at the end of that career, I didn't realize in 2004 that my life was going to take a drastic change and I was going to become a recruiter. But I had a vision of what I wanted to do, and opening up a recruitment firm satisfied that vision, even though I had no clue that that's what it was going to look like. That's what I'm talking about. So it's very difficult for you to plan too far in advance. Huge mistake that people make. But this is where I want to spend most of the talk. On step number 3. So you decided what you wanted to be. You have a vision, okay, and the vision is starting to become a little bit more clear. I need you to work toward the vision. Now, the working toward the vision is the spot where most people get confused and they're not sure of the steps to take and how to take them and how to effectively navigate them. So we're going to run through. I'm going to give you a little tree here of different things that you can do. I got a few stories for you and some examples that we can walk through. So as you're working toward that vision, the first thing, now remember, you are focusing here on getting unstuck and growing your career at an accelerated pace. You might have a job. You might have a job you love. You might be gainfully employed. You might be looking for work. Makes no difference. Regardless of what you're doing and how embedded and entrenched you think you are into something, what I need you to do, step 1 is identify the capabilities that will make you great at what you want to do. Identify capabilities. I'm going to put some definition around this. So capabilities are, think about the skills that you attain as you do something specific. Those on-the-job trade skills. Let's call those skills. I know how to sell this product. I know how to manage this type of technical project. Those are hardcore skills that are very specific to what you're doing. Capabilities are more like your foundational layer. They are your abilities, your traits, and variations thereof that will enable you to be awesome at that role, and it will transcend your company and your specific role. So let's talk specifically about what I mean. So talking about project managers and salespeople here for a second. If you're a project manager, it makes no difference if you are a real estate implementer managing commercial projects. It makes no difference if you are a technology project manager implementing an information technology solution. It makes no difference. All project managers, to be awesome at their craft, need to be organized. They need to know how to communicate with the key stakeholders or users of their system or users of their program or people that are going to be effective. So they have to have relationship building skills, communication skills. They have to be able to extract requirements and discuss what it is that you need. You have to be able to plan in an organized fashion the different staff. You probably have to manage them well. There's team leadership components. All of those examples that I just mentioned, every project manager needs that. These are the capabilities that you would identify if you're a salesperson. It's one thing to be able to have a script to sell your particular product or service. It's a whole nother thing to know influencing skills and leadership skills and communication skills and how to identify human pain points and how to connect the dots for somebody and walk them through scenarios and be organized with your follow-up and all that good stuff. Those are foundational traits that will transcend all salespeople. All salespeople. So getting great at those capabilities are going to be vital to you. So the first thing you have to do is identify them. So when you identify them, what are 3 or 4 ways that we can do that? Well, first thing I would suggest is talk to people who are currently doing the role. The reason I stress the word currently is because over time, things change. Things change. So, for example, I as a recruiter, when I recruited in 2004, I was on the phone a lot. There were phone skills that I was building. The recruiters today, they sit on the computer and they start stringing Google Boolean together to try to surface candidates. That's a technical skill that they need to build, or familiarity with the internet and how it works. So you would be better. Well, I didn't retire in 2004. I mean, I still recruit. But my point is, you want to talk to people who are currently doing that function because they are going to understand the most appropriate and current capabilities that you need to develop. So the first place I would go is people. Second place I would go is another person. We like to call him Mr. Google. Now, you might laugh, and I know this sounds funny, but I'm guessing a lot of you out there probably never thought to go to Google and ask Google what capabilities make the best, insert whatever you are here. So I once coached a chef. And on a number of things. One thing that I did to do my homework to be ready for the chef was I went to Google and I typed, what capabilities make a great chef? And there were a lot of capabilities that came up that I would not have anticipated. Jotted them down, and I was able to more effectively to coach him. But try that. You will be amazed at what you find, not only in terms of blog posts and articles. There'll be videos. There might be some gurus you want to follow. We're going to get to that one in a second. The other thing I would do is I would observe. You got to keep the noodle on. So make sure that you're watching, you're taking notes, you're seeing what's working, and you are diligently capturing areas that you need to improve, And I'm not talking about wholesale weaknesses here. I'm not talking about the technologist who realizes that she's not great at sales and oh my goodness, I got to get good at sales. No, I'm not talking about that. If you're a technologist and you like piecing things together and you like the puzzling aspect and building it and putting it together and architecting it and all that good stuff, cool, focus on that. But there are going to be elements of you being able to do that effectively, like design a good project plan to make sure or estimate appropriately about how long certain activities are going to take you. Stuff like that. You're going to need to be able to get better at those if you want to be awesome at your trade. The other thing that I love to do, I have a Franken mentor that I like to say I have. I'm constantly trading out Frank's arms and legs and fingers and toes. The head kind of stays the same, but build yourself a Franken mentor. So what do I mean by this? Well, it's never been easier in the history of life to be able to find people who are willing to share their knowledge with you. You all are sitting here in the chat going crazy. I love this. I'm happy to share my knowledge with you. Some of you take it for free. Some of you enroll in my programs. All of that's great. But there are people like me who are specialists at their craft. Now, if you're a salesperson and you're trying to build a Frankenmentor together, you might need somebody who's really good at how do you sell, selling tactics. You might want somebody who's really good at leadership, John Maxwell. You might want somebody who's really good at influencing and psychology, and Daniel Gilbert, and so on and so forth. And so you can piece all this together and start following these people, and then identify the ones you like, whose style you like, whose information you feel is benefiting you. Subscribe to their blog, get their book, go listen to them speak, listen to their podcast, whatever it might be. But assemble a Frankenmentor that can support that. I have a number of people who help me do this, meaning, that have taught me certain capabilities that I needed to do. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. All right, now, you gotta be able to practice this stuff if you wanna get better. Being able to do your job well is expected. That puts you at about ground zero. Everybody should be able to do their job well. If you don't do your job well, you're gonna get fired. So we don't want you going in that direction. We want you going up. So what do you got to do? You got to proactively, deliberately, thoughtfully, and any other word you can think of, schedule time to put the stuff in your schedule so you can practice these capabilities. These capabilities, as in proactively schedule, as in not do this, as in not reactively. How many of you are out there nodding right now, laughing your butts off at me, going, Andy, you knucklehead, my boss is on me all day long, yelling at me, I got to do this, I got to do that. I know you're out there. I know it happens. Kara's probably one of them. But all kidding aside, I get that a lot of you are at the mercy of what your boss tells you to do. I totally get that. I totally get that. And a lot of you are in service. What about the customer service rep who's on the phone from 8 to 5 and takes the hour break for lunch, but is answering calls and servicing customers all day? I get that there are a lot of different types of jobs, and you all have different types of schedules, and not all of you are 9 to 5ers, and not all of you have what we call calendar control. But do you take a coffee break? Do you take lunch? Maybe you take lunch with your teammates. Maybe you have a little team time at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for coffee. Can you go at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whenever you get off work and have a cocktail? I mean, I know all of you have different lifestyles, different family needs and all that good stuff. But could you put a little effort in to grow your career, right? I don't think that's asking too much. And you know what? If you are here with me today, I know you want to grow your career. So I challenge you. Be creative. What about this? I spent 5 years, actually I spent like 15 years. I spent 5 years with a lot of train time, with a lot of flight time. So I spent a lot of time flying for one of the companies that I worked for. There's all kinds of stuff. There's weekends, folks. There's nights. There's early mornings. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do to squeeze in your practice time. Now, one thing, I got an acid test for you here. I know you guys love the challenges because I know a lot of you are still emailing me about my 14-day challenge that we did at the end of last year and earlier this month. But I'll tell you what, here's a little test for you. When I start coaching somebody, now I have different types of one-on-one coaching that I do. I have job search coaching, which a lot of you contact me about, and there's a program there and a protocol to that. I also have leadership and high performance coaching. When I help somebody on the leadership and high performance side of the equation, that's somebody who wants to get better in their career, accelerate, and so forth. First session, first thing I ask for, because they always say, well, what do you need? What background material? Give me a copy of your weekly schedule. Give me a copy of your weekly schedule and let me look at it. And this is after we talk a bit about, we've probably talked on the phone to get ready and what their goals are and some of that stuff. And then we get down to brass taxes. First thing I say is send me your schedule. And you want to be a speaker, or you want to be a trainer, or you want to be a whatever. Where on this schedule is practice that? Where on your schedule is learn how to email market? Where on your schedule is learn how to write a speaking contract? Where is the stuff that you are going to need to do to achieve those goals? And then I get a lot of blank stares. Well, I'm really busy. Well, then why do you have those goals? How do you think you're going to achieve those goals? You got to create space for it. And by the way, you get 7 days in your week. So it's not Monday through Friday, right? It's Monday morning till Sunday night. So think about that. Look at your calendars. Is when we get off this session, think about your goals, then look at your calendar. Are there spots on the calendar where it says practice? All right, speaking of, you got to practice. Now, practice comes in different forms. So there is the researching part and the education part and the learning part and the listening part and the watch the videos part and all that good stuff. So there's the learning part. Now, you got to identify what it is that you need to learn more about. That's why you identify the capabilities first. That's why you don't just start going and buying training. If you're a salesperson, do not run out and go buy sales training. That's not the first thing you should do. The first thing you should do is figure out what you need to be great at, and you need to figure out where your gaps are in that. And then start supplementing in areas that are going to give you the highest ROI and the areas where you need to close the gaps. So first thing is identify the capabilities, but then you got to practice. And before you practice, I want you to learn what to practice. Now, the practice comes in different forms. There's kind of like the fake practice, or the practice makes permanent and perfect if you do it perfectly. So there's, are you, let's say the junior ad exec at an ad agency, and you're not quite senior enough to pitch that big client? Well, nobody, and I mean nobody, is stopping you from getting the deck and going in the bathroom or in some private office and standing in front of the mirror or your bedroom and pitch that sucker. And you know what? Grab your iPhone, or your Android, or whatever you have, your Samsung, and film yourself. How do you look? What's smooth? What isn't? Where do you need to tighten it up? Have you thought about the types of questions they're going to ask? How would you respond to those? And so on. Even rehearsing your reaction to the tough questions as you're going through the process is a skill that would make you awesome at that. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. True story, I was about 26, half my life ago, and I worked on a large information technology project. We were building a system for one of the large oil and gas companies. And there was a project manager, her name was Karen. I was a team leader of a large team on kind of the business side and requirements gathering and all this good stuff. And I had a counterpart. His name was Ed. He was the tech lead. So he had a big team. I had a big team. We reported to this project manager. And then she reported to the big boss, who was one of my mentors. And I went to him one day and I said, hey, Mike, you know that big estimating model that we use, the one Karen's got to fill out so that we can plan the next phase of the project and so on? He said, yeah. I said, can you send me a copy of that? He says, sure. But you need it for anything in particular? I said, well, no, I just want to educate myself. I want to kind of get familiar with it. I mean, I know it's kind of the next level for me. So he gives it to me. I go over to Ed. I say, now Ed is from Detroit, staying in some luxurious hotel across the street from the big building we were working in. Time of his life, I'm sure. And I said to Ed, hey, Ed, what are you doing for dinner? Knowing full well he probably was going to work. He says, nothing. I'm just going to keep going until I get tired. I'm going to go home and get room service. It's okay, fine. You know what? Grab your coat. Let's go down to the bar and grill. My treat. He said, you're on. Gets up, starts walking, out his cubicle. I said, hang on. Grab the binder. The big tech binder with all your stuff in it. And he's like, oh, what do you need? What for? So listen, don't worry about it. Karen's going to ask you for this information in 4 or 5 days. You're going to need to pull it together anyway. Just bring it. Come on, my treat. I'll buy you whatever you want. Great. We go to dinner. We talk about the stuff. I ask him about his side of the equation, stuff I wasn't really familiar with. I leave. Thank God he only ordered a hamburger and fries. I go home. I Jerry Maguire this work plan together. I come in the next morning, 6:30 a.m. I print the summary sheet out for my boss's boss. I leave it on his desk, and I write him a little note that says, hey, Mike, I wanted some practice. I took a shot at this. I gave you only the summary sheet. If there's something that looks out of whack or whatever, can you let me know? Because then I'd show you my work and maybe you can give me some pointers. Ange. That's what he used to call me, Ange. I signed it Ange. I go back to my desk. About an hour and a half later, he gets in. He comes over. He says, "Hey, this is great. How did you do this?" I said, "Well, I stayed up all night, and because I wanted to put it together, and I wanted to practice." He says, "No, I mean, how did you get all the tech stuff and all that other stuff that you probably didn't have a whole lot of insight?" I said, "Well, I just bought at dinner," and he showed me all the stuff. I'm assuming it's the same thing Karen would have asked him to do. He says, "Okay," and he kind of nodded at me, and he went, and off he walked. I got that experience. What did it cost me? A hamburger and maybe a decent night's sleep, but when you're 26 years old, you can kind of get away with that stuff. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And then if you want to move fast forward, for me to be able to communicate with you and to help you and to offer you this free stuff and to train you online, while I understood my trade as a trainer, what I did not know how to do was, I could communicate this to you face to face. I could communicate this to you on the phone. What I had to learn how to do was to communicate it to you through a camera, which is not a natural act. So somewhere on my calendar years back, it said, talk to the camera. It literally said, talk to the camera, because that's what I needed to do. And then you always have to think about progressive mastery. So I had to get comfortable looking at this, knowing that somebody was eventually going to be there. But I also need to be able to do that without losing my train of thought, or constantly looking at notes or stuff that's going on. And so you keep building on that, but it takes practice. And then I had to shoot videos, which weren't very good. I mean, the content was good, but the delivery might not have been great. So you got to keep practicing. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. If you don't decide what you want to be, and you don't have the vision, and you don't make the time to actually work toward that vision, you're never going to get there. And this is the thing that we don't take time to think about. What are the things that we actually need to work? And you could get feedback from your boss and your teammates and all that good stuff, but it's going to go well beyond them. It's going to go well beyond them. You are going to have to take ownership of your career, and you are going to have to look hard enough for this. So I hope that serves you. I hope that helps. I am going to go to the chat here in a minute. If you are loving this, click that little thumbs up button thing. And I do want to show you one thing before just a couple of minutes. I know a lot of you are familiar with my Job Search Bootcamp, which is my signature job searching course. What a lot of you might not know is if you jump into the bootcamp, we just wrapped up a fresh batch of newly recorded videos for that. It's awesome. We had a great time. In a couple of weeks, we're starting, and I'm giving this away for free. It's a career accelerator program. It builds on a lot of the concepts that I'm talking about here. It goes into much more depth. And I just want to show you what the components are. You don't have to buy this right now. I got a little special running until Valentine's Day, but I want to let you know because I'm getting a lot of emails from people about jumping into the boot camp. And if you are interested or on the fence, this might push you over because the value is going to be huge. And the smart thing to do is if you jump into the boot camp today, you got a couple of weeks to run through that, and then you can participate in the live sessions with the Career Accelerator program that I'm going to be building. So I'm going to show you this really quick, just what the topics are. So this is, if you have not seen the boot camp, this is the boot camp page, and on the boot camp page is there's your special. It's running for the next 14 days. Oh, 14. So until Valentine's Day, because the Career Accelerator program actually starts on the 15th. Now, I know a lot of you have seen this, and I know some of you are first-timers, and I don't want to spend a lot of our question and answer period showing you this, but it's a system of systems that takes you through everything from discovering who you want to be and how to evaluate it, how to bring yourself to the market with your resume, how to search, how to interview, how to build points along the way throughout the entire interviewing process so that when you get to the part where you're going to negotiate, you're going to get paid what you deserve. There's some bonus stuff in there. There's a ton of stuff. And you can look at the page. You can watch the video. Like I said, it's a system of systems. One of the bonuses that I want to show you is this Career Accelerator. It's $397. You get it for free when you join the boot camp now until February 14th. But this is 5 of what I think are the best systems you need to build to accelerate your career. So it's if you get it doesn't matter if you get a new job, but if you get a new job, what do those first 90 days look like, and what should you be doing? There's actually 12 things that you should be doing in the first 90 days. Do you know what they are? We're going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to do them, and I'm going to teach you to get out of the blocks quickly. Then on the first day you start, or today, it doesn't make any difference. You can start this immediately. Do you know the 12 things you should be doing, 12 different things you should be doing to get promoted very quickly? All the stuff you need to be working, navigating through the corporation, all the stuff, and what to do on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, what you should be doing, collecting, and how you should be communicating. And then we go into excellence planning. So what is it that you should be working on? How do you separate yourself? How do you come up with the best ideas that add the most value, whether you personally do them, your team does them, or your company does them? I teach you my planning process there. I also teach you all my organizational tactics. That's everything from mastery to monthly to quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, and everything that you need to do and how you need to think through the stuff that you do based on priority, consequences, and a host of other factors that you need to consider. And then we also talk about how to make sure that you crush your performance review. And you do not get ready for your performance review the week before your performance review. You get ready for your performance review the day you walk into the job. So all this stuff is complimentary. The bootcamp price, normally $597, is now $497. It's something that I hope you check out, and the link is in the description, I'm sure. So I'm gonna go to the chat, and we were having, my wife is home today. She wanted to say hello, and the doggies, but we were having some camera trouble and glaring issues and other things that I did not want to run the risk of doing. So she says hello from afar, and let's go to the chat. Give me a second. I hope that was helpful. You guys are going to be seeing a lot more of these leadership type sessions from me. I got a lot of good stuff coming from me. We've got about 20 of these already scoped out for you, but I love doing them, and it's kind of a nice break from some of the job searching stuff that I know we can all get exhausted on. So hope that serves you. All right, Mom is here. Hey, Asim, I know we were all going back in, Connie, in the chat, Joshua, before we started. And let's see, where are we at here? Kara, can you give me a Heidi hi? Let me know maybe where the first question is. I got tons of glare here, sorry. Steve, Carlos, Mike, Lorenza, great to have all of you. Wilma, Sajan, how are you? Melanie, glad to see you back. All right. Yes, Lorenza, get the interview intervention book. You know what? I left my book over on the shelf. That interview intervention book, the hardbound, the $30 hardbound, the ebook, the audiobook, and all that good stuff is still free. $7 shipping and handling just to pick it, pack it, and ship it to you anywhere in the world. Oop, did I miss one? There we go. Hang on. Kara's telling me at 10:48. I think I slid over that because I remember this one. I think I was getting it. All right. Asim. Asim had a couple questions, and we were chitty-chatting before the session, and he was asking, lots of times he gets, why do you want to change organizations? And the other thing is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Both of those I've answered previously, and I would hope you would check it out. When you are answering the why do you want to leave your organization question, it comes in a few different forms. So if you're employed and you're searching and you're interviewing, and they say, well, why would you be open to leaving? Or why do you want to leave? Or why are you looking to leave? That's one variation. Another variation, if you are unemployed, they might ask, why did you leave? Or they might even ask a couple of companies in a row. Why are you looking to leave? Why did you leave that company? Why did you leave the company before? And so on, and so on. So in interview intervention in chapter 6, which is my silver bullet interview chapter, the very first question out of the box is why are you open to leaving your current company? And I give you the script, but I want to in this session I want to talk about a couple key points here about how you need to package that response. So there's a balance. The employer is looking for a number of things. They're not sure what they're going to find in the response, but they want to know, are you on good terms? Are you malcontent? Are you one of those individuals who's placing blame on your company and not taking ownership of why you're leaving and all that good stuff? Well, I don't like my boss. He's a micromanager. I don't make enough money. I travel too much, whatever it might be. They're also looking for your current issue, whatever that is, or issues. Will I, if you were coming to interview with me at Mile Walk, would I be able to actually satisfy that? If you said, I make $100,000 and the reason I'm leaving is because I want to make more, and I'm looking at you thinking, I wouldn't pay you $100,000, that's going to be a problem. So there's a lot of things that they're looking for in up front. What you need to make sure that you do is you need to do a couple things. It's a balancing act. And it takes a little bit of, speaking of practice, it takes a little bit of practice in getting this right. You want to be able to, number one, make sure that you're communicating that there is a good rationale behind why you're leaving. Okay, so I'm currently in a situation, I'm looking for opportunities to move, but at this moment, there are no additional positions in that division, whatever it might be, and it's a real passion of mine, and so on. You want to be clear, but you also want to make sure that it is not something that you can control. Because if you said, well, I'm not, in my unit, the next step is to do this, but I'm not being given that opportunity to do that. And I really would like to learn that. Well, I could say to you, well, maybe you're not proficient enough. Maybe you're not taking time outside of work to learn it, because you could do that on your own. No one would stop you, and so on. Right? So a lot of these things, you have to make sure that they can't kick it back to you and say, well, that's because you're not owning it. So you want to be really careful. I go into all this in the book. I would highly recommend you getting it. The greatest weakness question is one more thing on the other one. You also want to make sure that you in no way badmouth your employer. So everything that you talk about should be in a neutral to positive tone. And I like my current employer, but there are limitations because, or my employer is a domestic organization. I'm really looking for international experience, which your company offers, and so forth. So you want to make sure that everything is positive, you're not bad-mouthing, and you're giving a plausible explanation to the company that's potentially hiring you, that you've done your research, and at the moment, based on your research, they can satisfy your issue. That is a really good way to respond. I go into all that in the book. And then on the greatest weakness, I have a video out there for that. Just go check it out. It's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. It's a shorty, but I give you the answer to that, Asim. Thank you for that. And Kara is telling me the next one is at 11:12. Thank you for that. Just dipping down. I always like, hey, Krista, how are you? Krista's boot camper. Greg King's boot camper. Shanera, how are you? You can't see me. Uh-oh, refresh the browser. Denise is a boot camper. Hey, if you guys are boot campers, put a pound boot camper in the chat. Tell everybody how much you're loving the boot camp. If you're loving the boot camp. But I know you're loving the boot camp because you tell me you love the boot camp. All right. Richard, how are you? Buhari, how are you? Dan Morris, another boot camper. Great to see you. What's that? Oh, yeah, never. Okay. Wilma, most of my career growth has been set by training through my employers. It's good. Viking 12, great to have you. All right. Andres, how are you? My name in Spanish. All right. I contacted people at the companies. I got my CV read by real people. Awesome. Good interviews. Used your book to answer the questions. Awesome. But one question always kills me. Do you have a green card? Yes, that will kill you. So now I know that's a question. Or wait, or maybe it's continuing. As an international grad student, I have 1 year work permit extendable for another 2, but how do I convince them to give me an opportunity in the company? Okay, great question. And first off, Andres and everybody else who is either trying to work, in the US or a different country and you need a working visa, I know that is very difficult, and I know it is especially difficult now. It's especially difficult now. So there are a number of things that you need to do, and in your case, if you have a work, you said you have a work permit that you can extend. What I would say is, is there an opportunity for me to come on my work permit and I can get it extended? So basically you have me for 3 years, and during that time, could we figure out an opportunity to, based on my performance, if you will help me work toward my green card process, or my visa, my visa process that will, I guess, turn into a green card process, and so on. So you need to be authorized. There are not a ton of tricks for this. I think you need to be upfront, and to save yourself time. You probably ought to upfront ask, if there's an opportunity for sponsorship. I realize that some folks are not going to want to give that to you, but I'm a bigger fan of being upfront and honest about it than going through the entire interviewing process and getting down to the end, and you've both now spent a ton of time, and they're not gonna move forward because of this. And each employer is a little bit different. And so I would look for different opportunities of ways that you might be able to. The other thing that you could do is, if you start consulting or doing something to get yourself some income, and then look for organizations who actually can help you with the sponsorship. But it's an expensive process. And so, a lot of times the smaller organizations are a little less apt to do that. The bigger companies, which have budgets allocated to that, people tend to have better success with those. So one of the things I would also do is make sure that I'm targeting the right types of organizations. So I hope that helps. I know it's not a magical answer. There isn't a magical answer for that, but, and maybe something I need to give a little more time and put a little more research in to see if there are creative ways to do that. It's a great question. Kara, actually, can we make a note? And let's look into that, because I know it's a big issue, not just for Andres, but for our entire community and for the world of people that want to move countries. All right. Art is sharing. Yeah, one other thing about the book, and the interview intervention book, we ship it anywhere, literally anywhere in the world. Makes no difference where you live. If you live in the US, you usually get it within a week. If you live in India, it usually takes like three weeks. So it could be a little while depending on where you are. But when you grab the book, you immediately get the ebook and the audiobook. So you have it. And the ebook fits on the Kindle, the Nook, the iPad, any of that stuff. You can read it online. I recorded all the audio for you. It's all downloadable. I even went into the sections of like the silver bullet interview chapter, and I have 14 questions in there, and I recorded those uniquely if you want to listen to my story over and over again as you're driving in the car or something like that. But it's really, really cool. And RT, oh, there you go. RT's a boot camper. How you doing, buddy? Paula, how are you? Wow, just botched an interview, but retroactively clean up. By the way, this was going on in the chat before we started. I know a lot of you, and this happened many months ago, where there was this, hey, I just got let go, or sorry, I went through an interviewing process and it didn't work out. What can I do? And I shot a video about how to get the job after being rejected. Check it out. It is the best way to keep yourself in the game if you had a pretty good interviewing process. And this is especially for people who went through an interview process, as in you kind of got down to the end, because that means they took you, they carried you the whole way, or you did a great enough job where they carried you the whole way. And it's a great way to end. I'm not going to go into all the tactics, but I give you the script of what your parting message should be to the company, which is an awesome way to go out. And I get 3 to 5 emails every week from people who watched that video who then got a job with the company, whether it was the one that they didn't get the first time but they got it in this kind of callback, or they got another job within the company because they sent this. So I would highly recommend that, and maybe Kara can drop that in the notes, but I think it's how to get a job after being rejected. I think that's the title of the video. All right, any advice for someone transitioning from hospitality as a maitre d' into sales, struggling to get noticed? Shanera and everybody, I have a Career Changers playlist on YouTube. Actually, the video that I just released on Tuesday is a career changer video, I believe, in changing careers quickly. And then there's like 3, 4, 5 other videos. I would check those out. I really would. And some of them are short and 7 to 10 minutes, and some of them are a little longer. By the way, folks, when you check out like some of my old live office hour streams that are, an hour long, well, the teaching part, you saw you saw what that was, 15 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 45, but it's not the whole video. So breeze through those as well, and you might see some of the live office hours in the playlists, whether that's an interviewing playlist or a resume playlist or a career changing playlist or a salary negotiation playlist. So, keep that in mind. You don't got to sit through 2 hours of, Q&A and all that stuff if you don't want to. I just love doing this. I just love it, so it's recorded and it's there. Mike is 1 step ahead of me. Awesome. Shanera, because it is my first career, I'm not sure what companies I'd like to work in. Shanera, there is a video that I have on my YouTube channel about how to create a target company list for your job search. Check that out. And that will also bleed into some of the areas you need to investigate. Oh, Shar. So if you're looking for, so let's clear this up. Daniel Gilbert is a psychologist, mind guy. He's awesome. He's written 1 book called Stumbling on Happiness. It's one of my top 5 favorite books of all time. And it's not about being happy. It's about why you're never as happy as you think you're going to be when you get something and you thought you were going to be happier. And what he does is he helps you reshape the way that you look at your future. It's mind-blowing. It's awesome. It really will help you with your perspective. When I talked about sales, one of the guys that I really like for sales is Rick Page. Wrote a book called Hope is Not a Strategy. There are tons of guys and gals out there with all different kinds of personalities. Looking at my bookshelf, Grant Cardone is sales. He's awesome. We've got, I love Brendan Burchard as well for high performance and leadership. I'm in some of his, and he also teaches me marketing and my platform as a trainer. But he's great and across the board. There's tons of these. John Maxwell is a great leadership coach and author and speaker and all that. Michael Hyatt is somebody that I follow as well on a number of different things. He has leadership stuff, organizational stuff, focus stuff, and a lot of things that I'm going to be doing. Now, he and I always don't agree on exactly how we would do things, but I like a lot of his stuff too. But that's okay. I always look for differing approaches. All right. David Patterson, how are you? Wait, I think this is a question. Andy, you've given really great advice on what content to include in the resume bullets. I'm not as sure what is the best content and how to create it for the career profile. David, you are in luck, because if you just go to my YouTube channel, type career profile in the search bar, you will have a couple of wonderful videos that show you exactly what to put in there. And if memory serves me, one of my newer is sometime last year, later last year, I did a resume tips, like a 2019, it was in 2018, but it's 2019 resume tips. There's like three great tips in that video. I literally show you career profile. good and bad. And you literally, if you want, can copy it, take, the few things out, stick, your specifics in, and off you go. The other thing is, for any of you who are looking for resume help and want to join me live, I have a live resume writing masterclass that is not yet scheduled. I've run it twice. I'm certain I will run it within the next couple of months. Get on the wait list. That's a 3-hour bonanza. I teach you everything. It is the most insane level of detail to write a resume. The giveaways are awesome. There's booklets with specifics, language, samples, topics of what to write, how to structure your sentences, and everything. It's nuts, but I only do it once every 3 months. But I would get on that wait list. And if you go to the Mile Walk, if you all ever need anything, go to the milewalkacademy.com. Zip down the page. There's the stuff you can buy. There's the stuff that's free. There's free live stuff. There's free video series. There's free webinars. There's my free book. There's paid training. There's the boot camp and so on. You can get that. If you want one-on-one coaching, you can access that. So, but that's always where to go. And David, trust me, I've got it out there, and I go into detail. If for anybody who needs to write a career profile, go to town. It's there. Lorenza, I'm interviewing for a role whereby I have great experience in a majority of the role and average experience in the rest. Okay, great. HR has told me that she wants to present a more well-rounded person. Lorenza, obviously, I've only have a couple hundred characters there. Oh, wait, but the hiring manager wants a very specific person. How do I convince the so hang on. Actually, I didn't realize you had two things, and I want to alter my answer. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Lorenza's asking me, I'm interviewing for a role where I have great experience in the majority of the role and average experience in the rest. HR has told me that she wants to present a more well-rounded person, but the hiring manager wants a very specific person. How do I convince the hiring manager that I'm the best person, the more well-rounded person is best? Now, you don't know that. You don't know that. And let me tell you why. And let me offer you some perspectives. By the way, I have to look at my calendar, but I actually think that next week, Thursday, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty darn sure, is going to be about working with recruiters and everything you want to know about working with any kind of recruiter and what really is happening and what you should be doing. But till then, everybody, let's bring this back a bit, as I like to do. You get a job description. So Lorenza's got a job description. She's looking at this. There's internal varying opinions about who the right person is. But there's something that isn't varying inside the organization at the end of the day. And I stress the words at the end of the day because this is a fluid situation. Here's what happens. A hiring official, let's say me, I have a need and I want a recruiter, for example. And I write this silly, stupid job description that says, I want a recruiter with 20 years of experience who's worked in technology consulting, who's also been a recruiter for 10, who also is recruited for these kind of companies and is recruited for these 18 positions, and so on and so forth. This is what they do, right? That's what the list looks like. And then there's a whole bunch at the bottom that says, and they need to be fun and a self-starter, and I want to go have a beer with them, and so on. Okay. Of all the requirements, though, there's probably only a few that I absolutely need. Usually, it's like 1 or 2 or 3 tops, even if they list 10. So if you are awesome at like ones 7 through 10, but those are secondary to me, I need you to be awesome at these 3, and you're average there, and you're awesome at the stuff that I really don't care as much about. That's what you don't know. That's what you don't know as a person who's looking at the job description. Not all 10 requirements or 5 or whatever are created equal. So you can't say, well, I'm an 80% fit. No, you might be 100% fit for 80% that doesn't matter. And you might be like a 10% fit for the stuff that I place great weight on. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is, what naturally occurs when somebody puts a job description together is they want everything. I want my Nirvana person. I want the recruiter that has all those things. And then what happens? We start recruiting for that person and interviewing. And what does Andy find out? Andy's a knucklehead because there's no way he's going to I got to find that person, and I got to convince that person to join my company or leave whatever they're doing. So what happens? So that's what they're thinking, state of mind at the moment they start the process. What happens as time goes on? They wear down. Now the hiring official says, you know what? Well, I can do without those others. But I really need these 3. Then more time goes on. Then the hiring official is like, ugh, all right, give me somebody with that number 1 thing right there, and I'll be okay. This is what happens. And when you look at like the aging of a job description, if that thing's been open for a while, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And there could be some that are open for a while because they're looking for just skills that are really hard to find. But that's usually what happens if there's a long list of skills. So back to you. So that's for everybody to understand that. Back to you. The HR person, if you're dealing with him or her, or the recruiter, wants nothing more than to fill the position to get it off their list. The hiring official also wants the position filled, but the hiring official's in pain, but the hiring official is worried that they're going to hire the wrong person. So they want to hold out for the right person. This balancing crap goes on. These internal struggles go on. So for you, your best offense is to be enthusiastic, to provide the HR person with whatever he or she needs. If you do get an opportunity, I'm assuming that you have not yet interviewed with the hiring official, but if you do get an opportunity to interview with the hiring official, then you need to ask the HR person or the recruiter, what are the keys to the hire? Meaning, what are those top 1, 2, or 3 things that the person absolutely must have? Don't try to pick those out of the job description because they have probably too many things that they've put in the required space. So they put like a bunch of required stuff. They put a bunch of nice to have stuff. Even a lot of the required stuff isn't really required. So you be patient, be upbeat, and we always talk about you can control only what you can control. You can be positive, energetic, enthusiastic, get them what they need, highlight, the areas and how you match, send the HR person an email if you need to, or get on the phone with him or her, show them how you align, show them where your strengths are and so forth, and leave it with them and go on and look for other things. That's what I would suggest, and control what you can control. Then let time go on and see what happens. I hope you guys like that background stuff because it's nothing like what you guys think. When people are going through this process, they just never think this way. But believe me, as somebody who sits on this side of the table and has sat on both sides of the table, that happens. And you got to know that because you'll adjust your tactics. All right. See, where was I? Here we go. Krista, good morning to you. Denise, Bootcamper, good morning to you. Here we go. I went for hunting for connections on LinkedIn and found 2 people at the company I want to work for. Yes. I request to connect with them but didn't send a note. Neither has connected. What can I do? Send a note. So, Denise, and actually we talked about this. I don't know if you were in the session yesterday with the Coach Cast. We talked about this very scenario. I do not recommend for anybody that you send a connection request first. So Denise is finding people. She found 2 people that she did not know. I would recommend, Denise and everybody else, that the first thing you do is send that person an in-mail or an email through LinkedIn or a direct email. And as a matter of fact, speaking of Denise, you have this. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there are different templates that I recommend. I don't know if you guys can see this. By the way, this is something that I give inside the boot camp. And I don't know if you can see this, but these are different ways to network in situations like this. You know, the glare's probably, I don't know. But Denise, you have that because you're in the boot camp. There's 10 different templates that you should use as an opener based on any scenario you can imagine. Whether you know the person, don't know the person, got a referral, didn't. I mean, I go through every single thing. Open up with to connect and a networking message that gets you what you want. Then, if they're open to it, connect. That's what I would do. Anytime, if any of you are going to ignore this advice and you're going to go and send a connection request to somebody that you do not know, at a minimum, would you please personalize your email? One of the tenets of networking. Anytime that you connect with somebody you do not know, one of the 7 things you need to do in that communication is tell them why you chose them. Why you chose them. And at a minimum, get that in your connection request, and obviously do your ask. That's another thing. You're going to do your ask. That's one of the other 7. You can do that in the connection request. But I don't recommend that. But if it's at least better than the multi-step, you know, than sending anything without doing that. So at this point, send them a tailored email or a tailored note. All right. Just zipping down. Paula looks like Paula's got a question. Kara, how am I doing on the, I don't want to be skipping over anybody. Paula Rankin. I start my 2-year process today for that leadership role. I'm not sure. What, did I miss something? Paula, I'm not sure if I missed something. Sorry, Paula, I'm not sure what you're trying. I'm just trying to look back. Let me see. Sorry, Paula, I'm not sure. I can't, I'm not sure what you're referring back to. I'm not sure if I missed it. Maybe if you go to the bottom and you clarify that, Kara can Slack it to me and let me know. All right, Carlos, Andy, the other side of that question, how to present yourself as you leave the current company. I have a resignation post on my blog. I would check that out, Carlos. And it's like how to resign with class. Buhari is asking, it took 12 days if you ordered the book and you live in California. So it depends when you ordered the book. If you ordered on a Friday night and we didn't get the order until Monday, and so, you know, it could be. I don't know what day you ordered it, but one thing you should get, because you're in California, and anybody in the U.S. orders a book, and actually most countries, when the book ships, so here's what happens. You go and you fill that form. Then, depending on once a day, we collect everything in the system, and it's integrated and goes to the shipping company. Then they get it, and then depending on what time of day they get the order, usually in the morning, then they send the books out that day. Sometimes they send them the next day. When they ship the book, you get a shipping notice that says, boom, your book's on the way. Here's the tracking number. And so you should have gotten one of those. But if you, Buhari, if you are interested, if you email support@milewalk.com, Kara could look that up, and if you didn't get the tracking number or link, she can send it to you. That's something that we can easily get. But it's got to be due any day now. And by the way, mail has been a problem. It's literally 25 below out right now. It's like 50 below wind chill. So the mail carriers also haven't been, this has been going on a couple days. So your book should have been long gone by then, but and I don't think you'll have any issue. Okay. And then Kara's letting me know okay. And then Paula, back to your, so I start my 2-year process today for that leadership role. So the leadership role, Paula, though, I would probably put some clarity around that. So leadership in and of itself is very vague. So I teach about leadership concepts. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even going to start talking about this, but I have a leadership monthly program that's going to be starting in March. So for a modest monthly fee, you can come to the private coaching with me and the others, and we're going to have some awesome instruction and workbooks and steps, and it's a whole cohesive program. But we teach on a number of different things. And leadership itself, there's many things about, think about, it could be anything from honesty, integrity, and all that good stuff to actual leading of teams, communication, organization, inspiration, maximizing the production of others, and so on. So what I would do is I would try to give myself at least some sub-parameters to define. So I'll give you an example. When I became a recruiter, the reason I became a recruiter, not knowing I was going to become a recruiter. Okay, imagine you're an IT executive and management consulting executive. And I decided that I wanted to help people more. So I went through this process without taking you through the whole thing, where I laid down the things that were important to me. I wanted to help people. I wanted to continue to help companies, and so on. And then there was a number of parameters that went along with my ability to do that and the things that I needed to be in place in the operating environment that I worked in order to be successful in carrying out that vision. And so when I started looking at, I wanted to help people, I wanted to help companies, I wanted to open up something of my own to run it the way that I wanted to, I wanted to have flexibility in my schedule, I wanted work and play to look seamless, and on this list went down. And that's how I was able to determine that the shift I was going to make from IT and management consultant working for a company to recruitment firm owner, even though I'd never recruited a day in my life, this is 15 years ago, that's the process I went through. But I had some meat on the bones, and I would suggest you do that. There are different aspects of leadership that you want in the role that you are trying to attain. So you don't have to have a whole army of people that you're managing to be a leader. Leadership could be influencing customers, partners, other things like that. So I would try to get down to a more granular level. The vision should be as clear as you can make it. So I hope that helps. Actually, one thing that you should do is go watch How to Find the Right Job, and also my Job Search Masterclass. The first video in the Job Search Masterclass 3-part free video series talks about this. This would be a great help. All right, trying to zip down. Dan Morris. So Dan, I have set up lots of companies. Dan is asking, do you know perchance a good source for what I need to do to set up a consulting business? Not skills, but the actual mechanics of setting one up and the items that I would need. So the first thing you need to do is to determine what kind of corporation it's going to be. You could be a sole proprietor, you could be a limited liability company, you can be a corporation that I would then turn into an S corporation, and so on. It's just a legal entity that you want to create. If you become a corporation, then you're going to need to make another filing and file a subchapter S filing with the IRS so that you can recalibrate your tax position. A recommendation, knowing you, if you simply want to be a 1099 employee because you want to set up a consulting business of one person, I would probably set up Dan Morris LLC. Easiest way to do it. You can do it within your state where you are in the Northeast. You can go to Delaware. You can do a bunch of other stuff. I actually would have you start by Googling this and then reading up on some of this stuff. It's fairly painless. So I think for you, assuming you want to be, if you want to be a company of one person, it's very simple. It's very simple. But I would start there. All right, Stacy C., you are welcome for all I do. What do you recommend when an in-house recruiter looks at your resume and says kind of negatively, oh, you're in a different industry? want to move from financial services to tech? Stacy, it depends what you do. So if you are a finance geek and that's your trade and you work in the finance industry, that's a problem. Then you need to move in. If you want to move into a tech industry, then you need to hold a finance position in tech. If you are in the financial industry and you are a project manager implementing technology for financial services systems and you want to go into a tech company, that's easy. That's not even change. I mean, who cares? That you just move over. So what I would say is for anybody that wants to make a change, the most important thing the hurdle that you need to overcome is that you need to be able to connect the dots for the recruiter or the in-house, hiring official, whoever it is, about how what you do maps to what they need. I go into this in great length in a video I shot about, Kara, maybe help me out here and put this link in the chat, but how career changers can ace any job interview. And I take you through the steps. Literally, specifically, I shot a video just for that, just for your problem. So that you can overcome it. You obviously got the recruiter on the email or on the phone. And for the most part, it depends the number of things that you're changing. So if you're a project manager who works in the financial services industry and you just want to be a project manager in technology, that's not really changing a lot. Your function essentially is the same. You might have to learn the nomenclature, some of the processes and things of that nature. If you are changing whole functions that, you're a financial analyst and you want to be a salesperson or a technology person or whatever, that's different. That's different. But any which way, I'd watch that video. And it's something about how career changers can win any job interview, and I take you through like 10 steps of what you need to do. But that's you're going to encounter that. Fact of the matter, folks, any of you that want to make changes like Stacy is making, people like the recruiter she's talking about, they're lazy. They're lazy. Don't assume that they can connect the dots from what you do and how that will apply to what it is they need. You need to do that for them. So you need to be very proactive and be upbeat and expect and anticipate you're going to deal with this. All right. I got a few more minutes, then I got to run to a meeting. Krista, thanks for that. Shar, thanks for that. RT, Andy's right. Bootcamp training is great stuff. Focused, down to earth, comprehensive. I've been in the job market over 40. No, not in the job market. Oh, you've been working for 40 years. Thank you for that, my friend. Great plug there. And then back to what I was telling Stacy. It's 10 steps to win any job interview when changing careers. Hundreds of videos, folks. I can't remember all the titles. All right, folks. Let me see if I can get one more in here. MMM. Question, is it totally unusual that I don't have a specific goal other than wanting to move my career forward? No, it's not unusual. That makes you like a lot of other people, like most people. They want to be happy. That's their goal. I totally get that. I just want to be happy. I'm happier when I'm helping you. So I don't look at my goals. By the way, my goals, to give you an idea, my goals are not I need to make X revenue per year. I need to have X number of subscribers. These are the dumbest goals. I know people are going to jump all over this and well, if you don't have a metric out there, you're not going to reach it and all that stuff. My goals are more like, how many people can I help? How can I get my lessons in front of more lives who can benefit? And what can I do? Now, I could look at subscribers, email subscribers, YouTube subscribers, and so on. But I got news for you. There's a lot of channels on YouTube across the board, careers and otherwise. It's not always a correlation of the people who have the greatest number of subscribers have the greatest influence and are servicing the most. Trust me when I tell you, there's a lot of channels out there that have tons of subscribers that don't do squat for their people. Okay, so it's there. Don't be thinking about those things. What I would suggest to you, MMM, AAA, so is you don't have to have like, I need to have this specific outcome. What if your goal, I have daily goals that just say things like, rise early, make sure you work out, meditate, be my best self, serve my community, love my wife. And so I get 10 of those every day. Take a 10-minute break every 50 minutes. Those are goals. Those are little daily goals. Then I have longer term goals about where I want to take my company. But, I did a boot camp in January. I'm doing a career new program in February, and I'm doing a leadership thing in March. My goal at the beginning of the year was not how many dollars do I need on this career accelerator program. My goal is I need to create a structure so that all of these people who I love and love me and contribute to my community and support the community, who want better jobs for themselves. My goal is I don't just want to help them get that job. I want to help them do well in that job too. What's it going to take for me to be able to do that? I got to give them more. I got to give them a career program. I got to start teaching people like you more about career acceleration and leadership and those kind of things so that I could take you all to the next level. Last year, it was about helping make sure that I could help you find that job. This year, it's about not just helping you find the job, it's about growing in it. I evolved just like you evolved. So your goals don't have to be like overly psychotically specific. But I can tell you, I'm damn sure going to accomplish my goal of helping you reach the next level. And if you want to take the advice, that's great. And if not, that's fine. But it's going to be there. I will have the programs in place that enable you to do that for the people who want to take advantage of that. So, I'm a process person. There's process goals and outcome goals. And I don't know if you know this, but I wrote a goal book. It's called Out of Reach But Insight: Using Goals to Achieve Your Impossible. Actually, it is my best-selling book of all the books that I have. So check that out because it talks to you about how to get into process and get out of outcomes, because you don't, the outcomes make you behave in a manner that you shouldn't be doing. If all I was worried about, and don't get me wrong, my business has to survive, but if all I was worried about was the dollars, I would be doing different things than showing up every week for live office hours to help you. So there's a whole process that goes to the things that are important to me, and then the money part happens, naturally. So, make sure you set goals that keep you focused on the right stuff. I know we kind of went way off there, but it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. All right, let me see if I can get one more in here. Thanks, Denise, for that plug. Andy is great, and you get to use it for life. You do. You come back as much as you want. I love it. Thank you. S. Black. How you doing, Sheba? All right. Joshua, you got one in. Wait, is this question? Hi, Andy. Joshua, under my desktop profile, I have been running into an issue with my work history. I have been in the title insurance for 15 years. Length of my first job was 5 years, followed by 3, then 4. Okay, that's okay. However, my last 2 jobs have been short. Okay, so Joshua and everybody else, by the way, this is a phenomenal question because many of you have this issue. The good news for you, Joshua, is you have really good runs. Okay, so you got the 5, the 3, the 4. These last 2, and I don't know why they were only 9 months. So one thing I would highly suggest is that you watch my job hopper video, the best answer to the job hopper question. You're not, in my eyes, you're not a job hopper. Okay, so I'm not calling you that. I'm saying that it's the same kind of question. Employers want to, the most important thing about somebody who's had a number of jobs when you're in an interview, the employer isn't asking you, why did you have so many jobs? What they really want to know is, if you select us and you accept this employment, what's going to be different that makes us feel better that you will not leave after a short period of time? One of the best things that you can do is own it. Talk about what you learned as a result of, and I don't know why these 2 opportunities ended abruptly. after a short period of time. What is it that you have learned about yourself and what you're looking for that you now can own a better decision? So, I left a company after 4 years, and I took this job that I discovered wasn't, quite right for me. And then so I left, and I got into another one that wasn't quite right for me. Okay, say that very quickly, and then say, but what I learned, and so I looked back and I reflected about why that happened. And here's what I learned about myself. And I spent a little time and did a little analysis, and I discovered why I had that issue recently. Make it one problem, not two problems. And for a job hopper, this could be 5 problems that you want to consolidate into one. Did some soul searching, did some reflection. I took a better assessment of what it is that I'm looking for and what will make me happy. And I am now better equipped to make a better decision as I bring myself back to the market and so on. They need reassurances that you are going to be more thoughtful and you will be more successful. The good thing for you is you have some good runs in there. So that's what I would do. I would go watch that job hopper video. I would. I think you will get a lot out of it. I get a lot of comments and emails from that one. So check that out. All right, folks, I got to roll. We're back here next week. And I should know this, but I think it's about recruiters. It's either about, I'm pretty sure it's about recruiters. I'll email you. If you're not on my email list, get on my email list. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. If you don't have the interview intervention book, get that. And wherever you are, if you're in Chicago or anywhere in the Midwest, stay warm. It's freezing, and I thank the internet gods that we made it through this one, because I was worried my service was going to go out. All right, all. Love you. Hey, check out the boot camp. Check out the boot camp, because it's a huge deal. I mean, it's like $3,000 worth of stuff, especially when I toss in that Career Accelerator program. It's really good, and this is the best time of year to be looking. January, February, March. So I'll see you next week.